Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Another massive commitment for the Miami Hurricanes coming out of the recruiting trail. Four-star linebacker Gavin Nix committing to this Miami Hurricanes program. And if I were to sell the Miami Hurricane fans on Gavin Nix in just 15 seconds, it'd probably say heat-seeking missile. I don't even need 15 seconds. This is a linebacker that not necessarily the biggest frame, right? 6 foot, 225 pounds. He more than makes up for it in terms of the speed at which he plays. He closes the distance between himself and the ball carrier at such a high level. But I think the thing that I love most about Gavin Nix is his ability to operate in space. We talk about the speed, the athleticism. That is becoming so important for linebackers in this era of college football. You are asked often to go sideline to sideline, operate in space, hawk down quarterbacks, running backs in the flat. That is exactly what Gavin Nix does best on the football field. Fired up about this one, and I'll go ahead and do it. I was kind of thinking about whether I was going to make this comp or not. I'll just kind of go ahead and say it. Kind of reminds me of Kobe Dean coming out of high school in terms of a linebacker that's not necessarily the biggest linebacker that you're going to see, but flies around the football field, makes a ton of plays, is always around the football. That's kind of what Gavin Nix reminded me of as I've gotten into the film. Without further ado, I want to get into the film of Gavin Nix. Now, you start with Gavin Nix, and I think the first thing that you love is the speed that which he plays with, and a guy that just sees what's going at the football field at such a high level. Now, it helped that he played behind a defensive line in IMG in 2023 that was very, very good. But you look at Gavin Nix, and so quickly to identify this screen, I'm going to work downhill, fire downhill, and make a play on the football. Again, that closing speed, if you were to see like, hey, we got to see this screen. We got to pick through traffic, and then we have to fire downhill and go meet this ball carrier. That's Gavin Nix. This dude just plays at 110%, pretty dang consistently. Another rep that I really like with Gavin Nix, what he can do kind of as a quarterback spy. This is becoming increasingly popular at the college football level with all these athletic quarterbacks that you see. Do you have a quarter or linebacker that can go out and make those plays? And again, not necessarily the biggest cat in the world. This is a guy that plays much bigger than what the number on the scale says. He can get after the passer too, which is something that I really like. I mean, this is a run, stop, and play here where you're kind of just following these pulling offensive linemen. We are immediately in the backfield. Talk about what is diagnosing. I mean, the minute he sees this left side of the offensive line pull, he's triggering downhill, meeting the ball carrier in the backfield. The combination of the football IQ and the speed of which he plays, it's some next level stuff from Gavin Nix. Take a look at this rep here again. Quarterback spy, we're going to trigger downhill. We're going to go make the play. His ability to, when he wants to go get a ball carrier, I mean, he is quickly closing the distance and getting after him. And you see a guy that just wants to get behind the scrimmage, wants to live behind the line of scrimmage. And once again, I mean, very similar concept to what we saw earlier on this film. I mean, when I'm ready to kind of close the gap here, I'm coming downhill and making my plays at or behind the line of scrimmage, which is something that we look at a lot. Like if you're a linebacker, where are you making your plays? It is all nice to have 120 tackles on the year. If you're making those tackles 5-7 yards down the field, it's not doing your defense much of any good. Gavin Nix is one of those guys that his average depth of tackle is going to be much closer to the line of scrimmage than 5 to 7 yards down the field. You continue to work through the film and say a lot of different ways that you can let Gavin Nix make an impact. Again, right here, we're going to have to go sideline to sideline. We're going to deal with some contact on a little crackback block here, work through that contact, and we're going to close the distance and go get the ball carrier. You have linebackers that can go sideline to sideline in this era of college football where so many offenses want to get plays to the perimeter. You got to have linebackers that have that sideline to sideline speed. Gavin Nix certainly has that ability. I think one thing we haven't seen on the film yet, but I think we're getting to it right here, his ability to rush the passer. This is a guy that if you are late picking him up, if you don't pick him up, he's getting home. And you take a look at how many times we saw Francisco, Maui Noah get after the quarterback between the A and B gaps. You kind of see Gavin Nix doing a very similar thing. I love the speed that this kid plays. Again, he reminds me of a guy like Nakobe Dean. We'll cut it there. A linebacker that is, if anything, just going to be a really fun linebacker to watch in this Miami Hurricanes defense. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. Again, if y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk to y'all Later.